I learned the classics. I learned the city. I learned art. Because science was where I knew I could function. Science, as you said, is universal. But there are other nuances to life that you need to learn. I went to Falling Water, Frank Lloyd Wright. I looked at art history, things that I had never, ever encountered in growing up.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're sharing the powerful and inspiring story of one woman's journey from poverty and pain to purpose and prestige. The name of the book, Escape Plan, Dreaming My Way Out of the Projects. It's written by a terrific author. Her name is Dr. Lynette D. The book is a raw and moving memoir that chronicles her fight to overcome domestic violence, racism, and social barriers in the segregated South to fulfill her dream of becoming a physician. In a time when the idea of a Black woman doctor was nearly unthinkable, Dr. Charity defied the odds and now shares her story of grit, grief, and gratitude and how it led her to greatness. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much, Logan.
Great to have you on the show. It's hard to believe in our lifetime that life has changed so much. I grew up in the 1960s as well. And, unfortunately, segregation was alive and well in the 1960s. And there was open prejudice towards African Americans, Black people, choose your term. Worse terms, of course, were used back then. What was it like growing up in the projects in the South in that era?
Well, a lot of people think that it was a bad time. I grew up there. It didn't seem bad to me. It seemed different. I didn't quite understand why I lived in a neighborhood with only people that looked like me. I very rarely saw people that did not look like me. But that was not a problem for me because I felt in my heart that I could make my own road. First things first, though, I had to figure out an escape plan. Where was I going to go when people were telling me that I was less than? How could I possibly overcome that? And people ask me that today, and it's like there was something in me that said, I needed to escape. I am better than what they say I am, and I can accomplish whatever I put my mind to.
You let go of any limiting beliefs. You had strong self-worth. Was that instilled on you by your parents? Did they make you realize or make you think you could achieve the unthinkable?
Actually, no. It was a different time. My father was an alcoholic. He was a abuser of my mom, and I honestly felt at the time that I had been put in the wrong family because my values of what I wanted to do with my life did not coincide with what I was told my place was. And it was one of those things where I have to thank my mom for saying basically, Lynette, you seem to have known what you wanted to do with your life. And I just let you do it. I didn't hold you back. I just let you do it. And I basically did it. I did it for me. No one else, just for me.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, because poverty can be cyclical. We see a lot of people trapped in it. That you had the foresight to come up with an escape plan was, prescient, no doubt. Um, what was your escape plan?
So the way it started out is that, as I said, my father was an abusive alcoholic. And I didn't want to end up like my mom. married with 5 children. She had given up everything to marry my father, and then she was stuck. She had no way out. And when I saw her situation, I just said, this is not for me. And it's so funny because at the time, it was like 1961, and there's this TV medical show called Ben Casey that came on. And my mom normally didn't let me stay up at night to watch TV, but she had watched Kildare. She loved Kildare. I didn't really particularly like it. But then she couldn't say that I couldn't watch Ben Casey, which came out. And I sat and watched that first episode, and I was mesmerized, mesmerized. And I even turned to her and I said, Mom, I'm going to be a doctor. And she goes, that's fine, child. You know, she just, and I didn't even believe she really listened to me. But about 2 weeks later, on my bed when I came home from school was a medical kit, a kid's medical kit with blood pressure cuff and a syringe and all. She was listening to me. She didn't know what to do, but she was listening to me. And then I immediately said, Dr. Charity is in the house. So then I had to do the research. I'm 9 years old. How do I become a doctor? I had no one, no role models. There were Black doctors back then, but no one that I really could talk to about this dream that I had. So I had to do it on my own. And I was willing to do that. And as I said, my mom just said, go do it, do whatever you have to do. So when they decided to integrate the high school in my neighborhood, because schools were segregated at that time, my mom said that I couldn't go. And so one day I just forged her name on the permission slip. And when she found out, she was upset. But she goes, you look like you're really serious about this. But I do want to tell you that back in 1954, in Little Rock, Arkansas, there were these colored kids that decided that they wanted to integrate this white high school. And some of the white kids pushed this colored girl down the steps. And I go, well, Mom, you could have led with that when you were telling me that I couldn't go, but you didn't. She says, well, you look like you really want to do this. So that's what I did. I went to this white high school. I had to go. I tell you, people tell you, you have these visions of things, of what to expect. And it turned out that I'm thinking this is a gold-plated high school, that something's different about the neighborhood. It was the same. It was just on the other side of the street. It was all the same. And I'd been told that I would flunk out, that they would send me back, and I just said, no, I don't think so. I'm going to do this. I graduated with honors. I got accepted to college, full scholarship, and lo and behold, I got accepted to medical school. Fancy that.
Yep. Amazing, amazing. I think you learned a valuable lesson there, though, learning that it's the same. I mean, I think that's valuable because so many people are afraid to break the boundaries because, like you said, it's going to be gold-plated halls or whatever your vision of it is. Organic chemistry is more or less the same at Harvard as it is at Bergen Community College. It's still organic chemistry. There is no secret formula. The only formula is you're part of an elite club if you're in Harvard, and it'll open doors for you, but not because you necessarily know anymore. That's just my humble opinion, because like I said, you can be a learned person and not go to school, and you can be a learned person and go to school. But obviously, in a profession like yours, going to school is not only a good idea, it's absolutely necessary. And you were breaking boundaries, and you went to the top-notch schools. Tell us a little bit about your higher education and what your experience was like there. And were you facing prejudice in these predominantly white institutions?
So I had no clue what the world was like outside of Portsmouth, Virginia, where I went to school. I'm thinking I went to this white high school that I know things now. I'm ready. But then I went up north because, of course, I grew up in Virginia, the South, and I'm going, oh, I'm going up north. I'm going to just learn all these things. And I got a full ride to Chatham College for women, which was in itself an amazing thing, full academic scholarship. And when I went to Pittsburgh, it was the most amazing event that I'd ever encountered up to that point because it was different. I hadn't been out of the state. I didn't know anything. And fortunately for me, the women at Chatham took me in and they taught me. They showed me. Now I didn't go up on the rooftops of the college and slather myself in baby oil and use aluminum foil to try to get a tan. I didn't need to do that. But I learned the classics. I learned the city. I learned art. Because science was where I knew I could function. Science, as you said, is universal. But there are other nuances to life that you need to learn. I went to Falling Water, Frank Lloyd Wright. I looked at art history, things that I had never, ever encountered in growing up. And I was fascinated by it all. I was a sieve. And fortunately for me, my roommate at Chatham, because you can't do this now, but they sent a note and said, you're coming to Chatham. We would like to know if you wouldn't mind rooming with someone outside of your race. And I went, sure. I didn't care.
Right.
And fortunately for me, my roommate, her name is Kathy Cusack. She's Kathy Cusack Wilson now. We've been friends for 50 years.
Wow.
She met me there and we hit it off in a way that she was like a sister from another mother. Mm-hmm. And she taught me life experiences. That went all through my 4 years at Chatham. And my third year at Chatham, I did the MCATs, which are the entrance exams for medical school. I was, science, I said, it came to me. I was very good at science. And I did my MCATs. I went to interview. And guess what? I interviewed at Harvard Medical School and also at Tufts Medical School, both in Boston. I did not get into Harvard. And that was okay because that was not my path. It was obvious to me, now hindsight, that Tufts was where I needed to be. Was there prejudice? This was Boston in 1974. They were just doing busing. They were arguing over busing. I go, that is so passe. We got through busing back in the 60s in the South. And now here we are in Boston and they're rioting and they're killing people and they're over integration of schools and busing. And as a medical student in Boston, as a Black female medical student in Boston, we learned that we never went anywhere by ourselves. We always hung around in groups. And our goal was to graduate from this prestigious medical school and give back to the world and prove to some people that we all have brains. We just have to work them.
Exactly. The differences in intelligence in people isn't that great. It's exposure to the opportunities that is great. That's the biggest disparity, I feel. Mentors are crucial in building a career. People tend to mentor people who look like them, and that's pretty much a fact. So white men tend to mentor white men, women tend to mentor women. You didn't have a lot of Black female mentor opportunities, I would think. But tell me about your mentors and how they helped your career and what you're doing now as a mentor to help, pay it back.
So you're right. I did not have a lot of mentors that looked like me. Ben Casey didn't look like me. But let me just tell you, That man, the respect he received as a physician, and I didn't care if he was a white male, it was the fact that he was a doctor. So, what happened to me when I went to medical school, we had one of the first Black female physicians on staff at Tufts Medical School. Her name was Dr. Vivian Penn. Her name is Dr. She's still alive. And she told me, she says, my goal is to get you and the other minority students at Tufts through these 4 years. And we all got together. If we were deficient in one class, someone who was better at that, we would meet each other. We would talk about it. We would learn about it. She has been my mentor. She's in her 80s now. And oh my goodness, we have talked about how inspirational she was for me and the others of us to get through. We honor her. And as time went on, I said, I need to pay this forward. So, of course, when I became a physician, the first thing I felt is, I need to pay this forward and help others. And I don't want to hear any excuses about why this is not working for you. If you're going to commit to this, this is what you have to do. You have to be brave, be educated, learn what you need to learn, and forget about any excuses. This is your life. If this is what you want to do, you have to do it. Mentors are key. So yes, I am a mentor. I've been a mentor. I'm a mentor at my college. It's now a university, Chatham University. Any students that have a tendency to want to go into medical school, I'm their woman. I tell them what it's like, the sacrifices they're going to have to make, all of that. I go to the school all the time. I'm on the board at the school. I feel that this is how I pay back the universe for what I have.
Yeah, it's amazing. You really do need somebody to show you the ropes,
Yes.
because you have to understand the culture of the institution. I started out at CBS in 1983, and a working class Irish Catholic kid from New Rochelle, and I got lucky and I got an internship at CBS. And the person who helped me through it, my mentor, and a shout out to her, was Anna Phillips, a wonderful African American woman who saw that I needed a little help to understand the culture of the place. And she became my mentor and got me hired, which was a big thing to go from intern to getting hired. So I too have paid it back always to people of all races, all colors, completely colorblind, as she was to me, because I looked like a rich white kid. I wasn't, you know, and that's sometimes a burden because people feel like you have every opportunity in the world. It's a fascinating story. What do you hope readers take away from your book?
I peel back all the layers of my life. It took me a while. I'm 73 now. It took me 3 years to write this book because of the fact that there were painful parts in my life that I was not forthcoming initially to share. And then I got to a point where if I don't share myself, warts and all, what are people to learn? They have to learn that there are things to overcome, and it's what other people think about you. You have to overcome that. You cannot allow that because my message is clear. No matter what happens in your life, as long as you work with it, you work through it, you ask for help when you need it, you will come out on the other side. And other people will be, I have been, oh my goodness, I still get teary eyed when I've gone and I've shared my book with other people. They go, you're a Black woman, and I know I'm a white woman. But let me just tell you, our stories are so similar, similar. It has nothing to do with color. It has to do with experience, just like you said.
Yeah.
And I just, oh golly, I felt the need to put it down on paper. And I have to admit, with 3 years of working on it and revising it some more, it turned out pretty well, if I do say
Did.
so myself.
It did. It's the motivational speech that we all need encapsulated in this book, which is the true story. And I feel like the kind of grit and determination that you have and the unyielding power that you have comes from not having a lot growing up. I think those are the most determined people in the world. You know, that's always my hire. I'm much more likely to hire somebody from a state school or a community college than an Ivy League because I'm looking for somebody with the fire in their belly. And that is only blessed to the people who had some hard knocks growing up. So I think anybody who's had some hard knocks, and that's mostly everybody of one shape or another, one color of another, one gender or another, can relate to your book. The name of the book is Escape Plan, Dreaming My Way Out of the Projects. It is an amazing, unforgettable memoir of grit, purpose, and triumph against the odds. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you again, Logan. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your insight and your wisdom. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.